Hi, my name's Esau Freeman. That's spelled E-S-A-U. Last name's Freeman, F-R-E-E-M-A-N. And I'm running for U.S. Congress in Kansas's Congressional 4th District.
Awesome. All right, here we go. What is a top issue you think needs to be addressed in Washington, and what do you plan to do about it?
Well, I think the top issue for a lot of Kansas voters is making sure that women have bodily autonomy and reproductive freedom. I think that there's two other issues that we really probably had better take a look at, and that is securing our border and making sure that our economy is strong.
All right. Your opponent has a long history in this seat, representing the 4th District since 2017. Why should voters look at you as their candidate?
Well, I'm a working guy. I have been a union representative for the past 10 years for Service Employees International Union, and I represent the City of Wichita workers and school district employees. I care about those kitchen table issues that matter to all of us, and frankly, my opponent's been mostly vacant and nobody ever sees or hears from him, and so I want to be a candidate you can run into at the grocery store or invite me out to a meeting, and I'll be happy to talk with folks and hear what they have to say.
Okay. As of September, medical marijuana is legal in 38 of the 50 states. Kansas is not one of them. But lawmakers have talked about the possibility of or regulating it here at home. Should Congress take action on it?
Yes, Congress should. We should legalize medical marijuana in all 50 states. And I would add to that that it is time that we legalize adult use marijuana for recreational purposes as well.
There's been a lot of attention on the Supreme Court in recent years, from high-profile cases to the justices themselves. There's even been conversation of expanding the court. What's your take on expansion?
I don't know that expansion's the way to go about it. I think what we need to do is have term limits for justices, and we really need to do something about ethics. That is really scary, the amount of unethical things that our Supreme Court has engaged in with reference to lobbying and people giving them presents and money.
Can you tell us your stance on gun control?
Well, I'm a gun owner. I value my Second Amendment right, and I think there are certain situations where a person should temporarily lose their gun rights. For instance, domestic abusers. Because typically when a domestic abuser has access to a weapon, their partner is 3 times more likely to be murdered by them with that weapon. I think we also need to hold people responsible when they leave their guns unlocked and laying around. Currently we have a little over 600 guns floating around in Wichita just from thefts from people's cars, and if one of those guns gets used to harm a child, or which for children, gun violence is the leading cause of death at this point, we really need to do something about that, and we as Second Amendment supporters should be responsible with our guns and keep them locked up when they're not in use. But I do support our Second Amendment and the right to bear arms.
All right. What needs to be done with immigration?
Well, we need to staff the border, first of all. There's no way that we can see who should and shouldn't be in our country if we don't have enough staff at the border. We need to speak with the labor unions that work for Border Patrol officers, and we need to see what it is that they need. We've got some areas where a wall makes sense, but I was watching a PBS episode a few weeks ago, and they've taken plasma cutters and cut right through the wall, so you can't just have an unattended wall to keep people out.
All right, we just passed a year with the Israel-Hamas war. It's the 5th war of the Gaza-Israel conflict since 2008. Should the U.S. have involvement in the situation?
Our involvement as far as supporting Israel when they're attacked makes great sense to me. I'm very unhappy with Netanyahu's scorched earth campaign against the Palestinians, and America should have called for a ceasefire long before we did.
And then do you feel the same about the war in Ukraine?
I feel like we have to support Ukraine. That's one of the things that is keeping us and our children from having boots on the ground. It's important that we maintain those relationships with foreign democracies, and I do support funding for Ukraine.
What is your stance on LGBTQ rights?
LGBTQ people are just like straight people. There is nothing different about them and the things that they want in life. They should have equal rights as everyone else.
All right, 2 years ago, Kansans voted to keep abortion legal in the state. What's your stance on abortion, And should there be regulation on the federal level?
The regulation on the federal level should be that we should reinstate Roe v. Wade. Kansas voters overwhelmingly rejected the opportunity to make abortion illegal in the state of Kansas, and as your congressman, I'm going to carry that to Washington, D.C. and stand up for the rights of women.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
One more thing I'd like to say about medical marijuana in the state of Kansas is that our legislators in the state house have been intentionally dragging their feet for a little over 15 years since I've been involved in that movement. It's time that they do something for the citizens of Wichita, and if Ty Masterson can't take care of that this year and Dan Hawkins can't take care of that this year, that's probably the problem. And you don't have to use that, but I want to